Joining us now is Concord Chairman Bob Diamond, Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire, and Bloomberg Sonali Basak, who we thank for helping bring this interview about. Jeremy, a while ago, we sat down in Boston at the start of the journey, and talk to us about why you want to go public right now.
Well, we've just seen incredible growth in USDC and in the products and services that we've been able to build around it. Last year, USDC grew from 400 million in circulation to 4 billion in circulation. And really, since January 1st, it's grown to almost 26 billion USDC in circulation, just representing incredible growth. As we thought about the opportunity, we thought about the growing role of dollar digital currencies in the future of payment systems, in the future of financial market infrastructure. We saw an enormous opportunity to both raise capital, but also more importantly, build a significant public company with transparency and visibility to the enterprises and financial institutions that are building on top of us.
Bob, there are a lot of your peers on Wall Street who don't believe in DeFi and don't believe in digital currencies for that matter. So what do you believe? Clearly you do, right? And given that you are buying this asset through a SPAC deal of your own, and you spend so much of your time on this at your own private equity firm, what might traditional finance players be missing?
So I think the opportunity here, it's right down the middle of what we were thinking about when we issued our SPAC in December of 2020. It is stablecoin, it is digital currency, it is blockchain, which is secure. The internet makes this incredibly instantaneous. So secure, instantaneous. And it's all about payments, and it's all about treasury and transaction services. And I think that's the thought that Jeremy had from the beginning: is how does he position this platform so that it can be a leader in just that, in U.S. dollar payments and transaction and treasury services. And that's what gets us so excited.
I'm looking at your presentation, the investor presentation, and Jeremy, a global payments market that is currently at $35 trillion. Long-term addressable markets, you say, of that $35 trillion and 130 trillion M2 money supply, of course. How much do you really think something like your stablecoin or indeed crypto in general will take of that addressable market?
Yeah. I think it's kind of like asking the question, in the early 90s of, how much content would be delivered through the internet and web browsers versus physical print medium or broadcast television, or asking, how much text and voice communication is going to happen over traditional telephone companies versus free internet services. I think that the power of digital currency models, in particular these full reserve, stablecoin, dollar digital currency models, is extraordinary. It is bringing the powers of the internet to, in this particular case, the most important reserve currency in the world, and giving it tremendous capabilities. And so we believe over time, the benefits of operating in a full reserve digital currency model are going to be superior to M2 commercial bank electronic money. And so I don't know exactly what percentage of that market will be filled by this and over exactly what time frame. Obviously, we have a kind of midterm view in terms of how we think USDC can grow. But clearly, the opportunity is in addressing these very significant multi-trillion-dollar markets.
Jeremy, I'm really curious about the competitive landscape, how you feel about Tether and maybe closing the gap in terms of a rivalry there.
Just in general, I don't really focus on competition per se. When we started working on USDC 4 years ago, we had a vision for building an open standard, building something that operated within the regulatory perimeter of the United States, within the two-tier banking system, with solid controls, compliance, and with accountability, both to banking supervisors as well as consumer protection laws. We've built something that has a lot of traction in the broader digital asset ecosystem, and we've been growing our market share very, very considerably. I think the important thing is when you think about what is going to be a foundational technology for the future of dollar payments on the internet, what are financial market participants, large internet firms, financial technology firms going to build on and utilize? We think something that is, operating within the regulatory perimeter of the United States and operating in this manner is likely to be what the industry builds around.
So interesting. The other point you make to investors is that USDC is not displacing existing central bank money. So, Bob, you've run a global bank before. How important is it that you think that the U.S. needs to get their hands around digital assets before China does?
I think we separate, just crypto or digital currencies in a couple of ways. But I think the one that was most important to me as we began talking about this merger with Jeremy is, the difference between USDC and stablecoins relative to some of the more speculative Bitcoin type cryptocurrencies. Taking Bitcoin as an example, less than 1% of Bitcoin is used for transactions. If you look at the growth of USDC, from the time we began talking in January of around 6 billion to 25 billion, or maybe over 25 billion today. And the fact that there's been over just short of $1 trillion in transactions that are executed using USDC, that explains everything. It's about payments, it's about treasury and transaction services, and that's the platform that Jeremy has been building.
But Jeremy, Bob, actually, I want to direct it to you first. What about a Fed coin? What if the central bank of the United States does get in on the act? What does that mean for quote unquote competitors?
Yeah, we have a lot of thoughts on this. And, first and foremost, we believe that as these technologies grow, become internet scale technologies that can be accessed by, on the open internet, the same way that we can use Skype as we are now to freely, communicate. As these open internet technologies grow, it's going to be increasingly important that, the federal government or other national governments are working closely with industry on the right forms of regulatory supervision, the right forms of rules that are needed. And obviously, we're very focused on that and have been since we really founded the company 8 years ago. I think very specifically in terms of, central bank digital currency, we've been very clear in our view, which is that the history of electronic money innovation, not only in the United States, but in most of the world, is a history of private sector actors working in consortiums and networks to build technology standards, interoperable standards. And that's what's given us the international correspondent banking system. That's what's given us the card networks. That's what's given us Apple Pay, PayPal, and other innovations. Digital currency innovation on the public internet is very similar. It's following the arc of the internet as opposed to these legacy technologies. And I think that open access, open market model is what the United States needs. And I don't think the strategy for the United States should be to try to out-China China. I think the strategy for the United States should be to embrace the open internet and private sector innovation. And I'm fairly confident that over the next 2 or 3 years, that's going to grow significantly in adoption, not just in the US, but around the world.
Jeremy, just on transparency and on what's backing your stablecoin, where you're investing your assets, some people are saying they'd like to see even more transparency. Tether's been forced into that. Are you, as now a public company, how are you thinking of talking about what you're putting your money in, the approved investments that you currently put your money in?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, this morning in other public communications, as we talked about this, we view the process of Circle as the principal operator of USDC becoming a public company as creating a tremendous opportunity for greater public disclosure. Obviously, public disclosure to the SEC, public disclosure to the entire marketplace. And so our intention is in our public filings, our first public filings associated with this transaction, Form S4, we intend to include more details about the full reserve nature of USDC, how that is managed, and provide the transparency that the market is looking for.
There's this perception that Bitcoin is gold. And there's a question of how soon it will be for Ethereum to catch up. When it comes to Bitcoin, there's a lot of friction when it comes to payments, but there's a lot of adoption when it comes to Ethereum and applications built on it. Do you guys believe that Ethereum is a better model when it comes to payments, when it comes to just the way you use it, when it comes to applications?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, the thing about digital assets is that there's an incredible diversity here, and it's very easy to kind of lump everything together. You know, Bitcoin is designed as a as a non-sovereign store of value. That's really where the community has focused, and I think where a lot of its traction has been largely. Ethereum is a more general purpose platform for building a wide range of decentralized applications. And blockchains themselves are almost like a new operating system layer for the internet, and there are many competing blockchain platforms, Ethereum obviously being the one that has the most developers, the most applications on it. But you know, one of the things that's notable about what we've done with USDC is a protocol that operates on now 5 different public blockchain networks, and we're committed to bringing it to more. And so there's a lot of competition in the fundamental infrastructure for these important fiduciary trust applications, decentralized applications that can be built on this. It's not a winner takes all right now. And we're just frankly excited to see how much innovation there is taking place with infrastructure that can, you know, ultimately scale, we think, to millions of transactions per second and provide a foundation for not just consumer scale payments, but fundamentally the core market infrastructure of the capital markets as well.
Big conversations.
Sonali,
you go, Bob.
No, I was just going to say, in addition, the beauty of operating on blockchain is Jeremy has built this business and on multiple blockchain platforms is it allows the middleman, the person in the middle charging the fees, to be removed. The security and the speed and the confidence that we all have in blockchain allows that. And being on multiple blockchains is a key part of the strategy here.